What's going on, everybody? Not here. Have a little bit of an amusing video tonight because there's three things that are certain in this world: death, taxes, and Pokemon booster boxes going up. And if we didn't all believe in the third one, we wouldn't be watching this content. We wouldn't be doing this. So the entire world knows the history, or the Poketube world knows that booster boxes always go up. So we're in the middle of the next leg up from Sword and Shield era, and there were some telltale signs. We had the leg up a couple months ago for Sword and Shield, and then people migrated to Scarlet and Violet because the relative value was better because the boxes were in hundreds, low hundreds, mid hundreds, and now everything's over 200. So people are going back to Sword and Shield and saying, well, if I got 200 boxes, $200 boxes now that are almost certainly going to get reprinted, I can pay 50% more, 40% more, 100% more, and got boxes that it's a stone cold lock. They're not going to get reprinted. I'm going to do that. So, we're in the middle of a pretty substantial leg up, and it'll cool off at some point. It'll pull back a little bit, and the way that these collectibles work is it's chunk plays, right? You have chunk plays surrounded by just months and months of monotony. That's why it's fun, because when you get to a point like this and you own the asset, it's an absolute freaking blast. If you don't, it's painful. But with all that being said, I've seen so many videos today of people just taking credit for, I told you it was going to go up. I told you it was going to go up. It's the most idiotic thing I've ever seen. That's like saying, hey, the sun's come up 4 days in a row. I guarantee you it's going to come up tomorrow. And then it comes up tomorrow and you're running around with no pants on bragging to everybody. Like, no shit. Like, the entire world knows this is going to happen, or you wouldn't be buying Pokemon cards. So, like, make some content that's not shitty. That being said, the one video that I thought was really, really on point, because this is hard as hell. Plumber put out a video a little bit ago talking about, he didn't get into it and talk about the psychology of buying in a bear market. But that's kind of the deeper message. When everything's going up, it's fucking easy to buy. That's where we're at right now. People are just buying stuff because it goes up. But when you're in a bear market and the market's flooded with product, and in the back of your head that these boxes have only ever gone up, and it's gone up for the last 20, 25 years, but it's human nature to have just a shred of doubt. That's what if it's different this time? What if I've sunk, $50, $100, $250,000 into dead product, and something changes, and then all of a sudden I'm smoked. To his credit, it takes cojones of steel that when nobody wants the product, you keep buying, and then when things like this happen, dude, you deserve it. But pour yourself a drink, celebrate, smile. Because most people from a psychological standpoint, when things get tough, they just bail because people don't have long-term outlooks on this. So it's kudos to that dude, man. That's fantastic. But like the rest of the content, it's don't take credit for something everybody knows is going to happen. Like just stop. It's garbage. Now, if you're able to pick which one of these was going to go up over another, that's great. But the entire space is going up. It's rising tide, lifting all boats, if you will. So I kind of want to talk about the impact, because we have no idea how long this is going to go on. Probably another couple weeks, maybe. May have already happened. There might be more product coming to market over the weekend, and then we'll see a little bit of softness and step backwards. But this is a spreadsheet from a video I did a couple weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago. And what it was really doing is taking the age of the product, and I was trying to find a correlation really between when the booster box itself starts to really mature and age and start to increase in value as it relates to the value of the cards in the set. And there are some comments on set value that you shouldn't use nominal set value. You should use the probability of pulling cards and this and that. But at the end of the day, it all gets to the same place. It's all the exact same math. Whether you're you're taking all the value of the cards in fusion or in evolving skies, or you're just taking the odds of pulling the Umbreon. The math is the same because at the end of the day, your value of a box is your value of a box. So any number that you apply to it is going to be relative to the rest of the sets. So it's the exact same math. So what was interesting back then, uh, the relative value to the set. So yeah, the Sword and Shield base box was effectively, yeah. This is the last time I did it, which was early April, was 110% of what the entire set value was, because there was no reprint. It was one print run. Rebel Clash, 73%. Darkness Ablaze. So let's just throw those three sets out because they really don't apply here. These were right in the early stages of COVID. Everything was dead. Um, Whatever. So we moved to Vivid. Vivid hasn't really moved. 200, 205, battle styles, 180 to 199. By the way, I did not update the set values, but $700 for the set, close to hell enough for the analysis. It doesn't matter because we're only really factoring in the change in the price of the booster boxes, and that has nothing to do with any change in the set value. Just it's irrelevant. So it gets interesting when we get to see Chilling Reign. So Chilling Reign, and I mentioned this in my other video, is the lowest booster box value relative to the value of the cards in the set across the entire Sword and Shield era. It's actually gotten a little bit worse here. So it was 19%. Now it's a 23%. Chilling Reign should be a $500 booster box. It just, based on the value of the cards in the set, it should be. Yeah. Evolving Skies, 22% to 26%. These boxes should be twice where they're priced right now. They just should be, because you're 4 years old, you're not getting more product, and the next 2 years for most of these boxes, you're going to see multiples of the current purchase price in return, because you're going to have hype here from the box prices going up. You're going to have people in the rip and ship world dying to get this product, like they did with Sun and Moon and XY, and why there's none of that product left. And, God forbid we soften in the ultra modern stuff, like the sets that are still in print, I guess, to be more specific, because everybody has their own stupid definition of ultra modern. The rip and shippers are going to get their face ripped off because there's not going to be enough margin. People are going to be able to get the packs in the wild. You'll have a random degenerate that wants 3 people cheering him on to lose money. But people are going to want to rip the older packs because it's where you can get the bigger hits. And that's where the entire the gambling portion of this really kind of starts to run wild. So again, I think that's going to cause a lot of the loose packs and a lot of the ancillary stuff to disappear, because there are some of these sets that have a ton of loose packs out there. The Kanto mini tins that just came out have a Silver Tempest and an Astral Radiance in every single pack. And, there's tens and hundreds of thousands of packs there. So at some point it's going to dry up. Fusion Strike, 31 to 47. So at 47%, Fusion Strike is about at the top of where it should be, probably for another year and a half. Brilliant Stars at 43%, same thing. This at 480 right now is a huge move. It's kind of getting toppy. 550 is probably going to be the top for the next year. And look, these could blow through this, because as we know, in a bear market, everything overshoots significantly. In a bull market, in a bear market, everything undershoots significantly. Astral at 37%, a little bit of room to go there. You're probably looking at 500. Lost Origin, you get much over 550, 600, you're kind of capped out. And then Silver Tempest at 310, lowest set value. But that could change relatively quickly if there's a little bit of run in the singles here, and the Lu EV pushes up over, what is it, $300, or I don't even know what it was. Last I checked, I know the PSA 10s were like 650. But let's look at the nominal change. So this is just taking the box price divided by the set value, and then just doing the actual nominal change in the two. So how much closer to par, if you will, and by par I mean the two are equal, which is effectively what we're seeing with Sword and Shield Base and Darkness Ablaze, have we gotten? So Silver Tempest has moved 4%, Lost Origin 7. So Astral, Brilliant Stars, and Fusion Strike are the three that have moved the most. In fact, yeah, Astral going from 270 to 400 is actually a little bit less than the Brilliant Stars and the Fusion Strike move, because the booster box relative to the set value is a little bit less. So Evolving Skies hasn't moved. Chilling Rain hasn't moved. Battle set, the rest of these sets don't really matter. But I'll get back to Chilling Rain. If we take Chilling Rain, let's look at it this way. So let's just look at the three relative values. We'll take the mean. The mean is 40%. So if we take just the value of Chilling Rain, again, and you can poke holes in it. I don't give a shit. Do your own spreadsheet. Do your own math. Do your own video if you like. Take this times 40%. If we take the average relative value of the sets that just moved at 40%, and we put Chilling Rain there, Chilling Rain's a $685 booster box. Now, let's do this. Let's make this interesting. Let's take everything to 0.4. Do it this way. Let's take the set value times 0.4. So we're going to take the mean price for all of these sets down to, well, Vivid's a little overpriced, but down to Battle Styles. And I'm going to create another one in here and say this is probably the near-term top. Again, I'm just talking out of my ass, but it is what it is. And this is your price at 40%, which again, 40% box price is a percentage of total value, which with all the sets that just made their move right here, 40% down here, that is the average. Now, since these guys didn't move, we're going to adjust those because they are going to move. So again, just backing into some high-level math. So Fusion Strike and Brilliant Stars, they're fully valued, right? Astral maybe $30, Lost Origin maybe $50, Silver Tempest maybe $45. But Evolving Skies has $850 to go. And again, this is just to normalize the pricing with what we saw just happen to Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, Astral Radiance, Brilliant Stars in aggregate, in average. Chilling Rain, $286 on a $400 booster box. It's insane. Like, I don't understand why people aren't buying this one hand over fist. And Battle Styles, people can talk shit on it all they want. The set has $700 worth of value, and the boxes are $200. This should be a $280 set or box. It just should be. So anyway, I wanted to talk about relative value here. And I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a shot at everybody doing a victory lap over. See, I told you Pokemon cards are going to go up. I called it. Like, it's the most idiotic thing ever. But anyway, I want to walk through the math here. I wanted to show you what the impact was with the recent move, where I think the opportunities are. Again, I think Fusion's overvalued. I think some of the moves are gonna take a step back. Evolving's a tough one to push, because at $1,500 per booster box, the number of people that can pay $300 for a Silver Tempest box versus $1,500 for an Evolving Skies booster box is exponentially smaller. So it's more difficult for large numbers to get larger, per se, just because the number of buyers is more limited. But Chilling Rain, I mean, I keep looking at that one and I'm like, I kind of want to buy a bunch. It's not my business model, if you will, but I kind of want to buy a bunch. So anyway, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. Yeah, we do have our DR sale tomorrow. If you join now, you won't be able to participate. But if you join Elite before next Friday, I think I have 23 open slots to qualify for the 4 Destin Rivals booster packs for $19.99. So if you want to do that, great. If you don't want to do that and you're just here for the content, friggin' awesome. So anyway, guys, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.